Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Everybody's staying cool and comfortable. It's hot in the south.
Hmm. Yeah. But as Brienne and I were just discussing, while staying cool is now a challenge, I'm not sad about the change in weather. I definitely prefer this over the cool, cold, wet, whatever that late winter, spring brings. So this is okay by me. Though I know we'll all be complaining about this and not too long, but
Okay, I think we'll get started. It's 11:02. Call this meeting to order. Um, Diane has to leave today at 11:30, so I think what we will do is, Diane, if you can give your report first, we'll do that. And then we need to talk about the transition over to OHA. So we'll go to Becky and then Gary, then you can do your report. Okay, great. Okay, do you have anything you want to add, John?
Nope.
No?
Thanks,
Okay.
Maureen. Good to see everybody.
So this is our last meeting with under Human Services Committee. So thank you, Brianne, for all of your work this past year and a half, I think. Yeah, so we'll be talking a little bit more about the transition, but first we do need to approve the April minutes. And so they came out on the 20th last month. So I think everyone's had a chance to review them. And Gary, I think those were the minutes that you were referring to.
Yes.
Yep. So do I have a motion? I'm sorry, I can't see hands. Diane, and a second? Gary. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Yep. Okay. All right. And we do not have the May, is that correct? We don't have the May minutes. It was a very short meeting. Um,
Yes, I did not complete those.
Yeah, that's sorry. It was a very short meeting. And then Brianne, will you be sending the minutes from this meeting over to Becky? I mean, is that what, or I'd probably meet John, me and Becky, I think.
Sure, I can do
And
that.
then we could figure that.
Mhm.
Becky, is that good for you? All right, she might be away. Okay. All right. Diane, take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate letting me get on. I am kind of triple booked today, unfortunately. So let's just go over the numbers that we had. Just to basically summarize, we hit for last month, this past month, 93.5% compliance for overall for all of the repairs that we did for the month of May. We had about 330 of those. No major issues other than the typical things that we get with scheduling with our skilled nursing facilities that, has improved a little bit, but still always a work in progress. And there wasn't anything major. Our staffing has been fairly stable. We do get a little bit of concerns. I go into the summer months with vacations coming up, but at this point in time, it seems like we hit a fairly decent May with our overall values in that. So I'm not going to necessarily read the report for the guys. You did get it from me last week, or was. And if there's any questions specifically, I would like to be able to address.
Do we have any questions? You might be off the hook.
That's kind of nice. I'm used to
That's
getting peppered with stuff, so I appreciate
Yeah.
it. So with the one question I do have for the group, since again, thank you for let me go ahead first. So this will be switched over to the OHA overall now with the changes. Now, will that start next month, or is that to the fall when the actual changes go enacted? When is that going to be? So I know what to look out for. I know I didn't see the invite for this till this morning, but I knew from our last meeting what the date was. But I just want to make sure I'm looking out for something that doesn't get into my firewalls at work, and I know to say, yeah, that's a legit invite, etc.
Yep, that's next month. And before I hand it over to Becky, Sheldon, do you have a question for Diane?
Yes, I'm just trying to, I only got these this morning, so I didn't really have a chance to look at it. But the compared to April, so were you at 93% also for April?
No, we were like at 88 and 90s. We had a couple months where we were below the 90. I always try to hit a 90% towel threshold or higher. And we had a couple of months there where we were like 88%, couple months in a row there, Sheldon. So
Okay.
I was glad to see this get back above heading towards what we're really trying to shoot for. Obviously, the mid 90s will never be 100% because that's just not real life. Um, I just know that. But no, so we're heading back towards where we're used to. We're typically in the 90s to begin with at this, and then we had a couple months there where we had people out with injuries, short staff one time. So we were heading like at 88% was our averages for a 2 month period there.
Okay, so I'm just looking at this now. So it looks like your total orders for May was a little lower. It's like,
Maybe, yeah, we've been hitting in the 300s though. That's pretty consistent. If you pull up the past reports, we're usually right anywhere between 280 to 320, depending what it is going into. And usually we get a little influx. So it goes, it goes cyclical a little bit, to be honest with you, when you look at it.
right, for April, I'm just digging this up now. April report says 365 is kind of on the high side, right?
Exactly.
April.
Yes, we had a lot that came in.
So 365 orders versus the May is more than normal. So I guess just a general question, whether your staffing stayed the same, there was no change there, you report. So is it a reasonable inference that the increase from the high 80s to 93 could be in part due to the fact that your volume went down a little?
A little bit that, and plus we didn't have anybody that was out either in the month of May.
Okay.
So it's a dual. It's a dual.
Right. Okay. No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, and Becky, is your hand up for Diane, or you just wanted to answer a question?
I apologize, first of all. I'm having some issues. We had an upgrade yesterday on our computers, and ever since this morning, it's been really fluky. So I apologize for the in and out. But I was going to say that Alexandra Lowry is going to be taking over as the role of administrator as far as sending emails and things like that. And she's very excited about taking on this role. And I'm going to connect you, Diane and Gary, with her, so that way you'll know who she is, and I'll make the introduction for you, for officially, so that you'll be
Perfect.
aware. She's really kind and nice, and she works in our department, and I can't say better things about her. We're gonna miss you, Bran. Thanks for all your hard work, that you've done too as well. So I just wanted to put that out there as too. But as far as and so I believe that we are going to start next month rather, and we're excited to do that. But and I also, if there's anything that ever comes up, you can talk to me or communicate through me, and if anything is an issue. But Alexandra's very approachable and really super. So I think you'll feel like she's one of us already, even though she's not part of the team yet. So.
And we're still shooting for the third Wednesday of the month as the standing
yes.
meeting, correct, at this time frame, correct?
Yes, and that's the plan too, Diane. We're going to try and do, if it's agreeable to everybody and amenable to everyone, obviously what's best for the council here. But if we can put it all on for the calendar for the year, the third Wednesday of every year, and we'll just set that on our calendars, and we'll have a regimented plan going forward as well. So that's
Perfect.
how I message it to her, and she's on board with that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. That helps.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. So we did talk a little bit last meeting about the bill, or the law is now Public Act 2672, and some of the changes that went forth. And one of the big changes that we will now have a second member representing the industry, and that will we think it should be Gary from New Motion. We're very happy to have you. You've been so, coming to our meetings as a guest, not being able to vote, and doing everything else. So this is a welcome change, and it's good that Diane doesn't have to officially be representing the whole industry. And yeah, so I think this was a really good change. Second, is that we have 2-year terms for anyone who's not part of a state agency. And so all of us, we had to submit for reappointment. And I don't know if anyone has received their appointment letters yet. I haven't received anything. So we're just gonna continue until we, unless we hear otherwise. And once you do get, once we get our appointment letters, if you could just send forward them, I guess. I think Becky, would that be okay if if we forward them to John and me and then also you?
Sure. That'd be fine.
Or if you want, if you could get me Alexandra's email, then I'll send a separate email out to everyone and just say, hey, just reply to this or send it to these people. That would
I can do that too.
Okay, good. All right. Yep, so we did talk, we met, Becky and John and I met yesterday just to talk about some of the transition. And uh one of the questions was, does Zoom work? Is it possible to switch over to Microsoft Teams? Would anyone have an issue if we switched over to Microsoft Teams? No. Okay.
No, I
That's a
prefer
down.
Teams.
You prefer Teams, Farah?
Yeah.
Is that does any, like, is it you just don't like it, or you can't use it? Is it?
I've had significant issues with it over the years. I can use it. I will use it. I will advocate against it at every opportunity. But if that's what we end up doing, it's doable, but I will always advocate for Zoom or Meet or just about anything else
Right.
first. But
Yeah.
I'll go where we go.
I also have had issues in the past with Teams, so but yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Just looking to see if there's anything else. I guess yeah, so is that okay? If Becky, if Brienne sends you the minutes from this meeting,
Yes, absolutely.
is that the best way to hand it over?
Or I can connect Brienne with Alexandra if that's better, or whichever's easier. Brienne, what's easier for you?
Whatever's easier, just shoot me an email and I'll reply with the minutes.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. That's probably easiest, I bet. So, all right,
Yeah.
that's how we'll do it. Okay.
Okay, great. And Sheldon.
Yeah, two things about sort of transition and the new law, which of course is all related because new law requires a transition. Um, One is it is to me unclear when new appointments happen or have to be made because the law says there's 2-year appointments. And so I guess the assumption is you work backwards from when people were appointed and they have 2-year appointments, but they weren't like on specific dates. They were roughly 2 years ago or July, August or something like that. So I just wanted to make a suggestion that I don't know if people agree with this, but to the extent, well, to the extent somebody's being reappointed, it's irrelevant, but to the extent somebody's not being reappointed, it seems to me that they should stay on until there's an actual new appointment in place. Does that make sense? And I don't know when that would be. It's already June. Um, but I wasn't sure we're dealing with that. And I just wanted to suggest that we should, for continuity, we should just, everybody who's on stays on until there's a new person in that particular spot, if there's a replacement.
Yep.
Is that
That's
reasonable?
anyone else disagree?
Yeah, I agree with that, Sheldon. I think just having that, continued sort of support from enough members, different perspectives and everything that way. Yeah, and if we do not get reappointed, just for any reason at all, is there an ongoing sort of, just who the appointed individuals are? Is that like publicized or is there not going to get sent out, via email or anything that way?
I think, and I don't even, none of us, I mean, I don't even know if I'll be reappointed. So, Yeah, I would think, and maybe, in the event that I'm not reappointed, then I guess that would fall fall on Becky, it would fall on John to disseminate that information to everyone. Yeah. And I don't I mean it would be public. This is the other thing we talked about with the right now we have the CGA website for this council, and we do need, we're looking at you know some a central location to have all of our meeting minutes, all our information you know housed. But as Becky said, it's with IT with the state, it does take a while. They're really busy, so yeah, so we haven't worked that part out. That's correct, Becky?
That is correct, Maureen. So we're
Okay.
in chats about how that's going to operate and where it's going to be standing long term to have the minutes posted. And if anyone else has any suggestions, we
I was
think
gonna just say that,
right,
yeah.
so
If anyone has, yeah, any suggestions for just a place to keep our minutes, and then also CTN, you're also looking into that to see if our meetings can still be online,
absolutely.
our videos, the videos. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be technically because of the bill and the guidelines on this? I don't know, John, if you take it back, wouldn't it have to be housed under the Health Committee Services where this was all originated from for the state records? It's a question, I don't know.
That was actually one of the questions that we had as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were gonna ask
Yeah, the sponsors of the
we
bill
were
and
gonna
that
ask
you need, yeah,
Brianne
we need,
about that in
yeah,
the
we
sense
need
of
to
the
go,
transition.
yeah, we need to go back to Senator Lesser and group who
Yeah.
did this, because technically it should be housed and kept there. Since it's a bill for the public, they have to. So I think that needs to be an extension for the chairs to go back internally and
Well,
inquire.
if I may break in, only legislative committees are required to be housed on the CGA website, and
Okay.
this is no longer a legislative committee.
Oh,
Okay.
very good. Awesome. Thank you, man.
I did not make that distinction. I apologize, Diane.
Yeah, I figured it was something like that, but I wanted to get it hear it officially from them, because they're the experts. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Ms. Sheldon.
Yeah, I want to make a suggestion in terms of what Brian was saying. It's no longer a legislative committee, but everything up until now has been. And what I've seen, not just in human services, but with a lot of committees, it's kept there up till that point. And I'd like to make a recommendation that it stay there. I mean, I'm not saying it can't also be somewhere else, as when the IT thing is worked out with OHA, but just a suggestion, couldn't we keep everything that's there, just like with a lot of other stuff that's on committee websites?
But
And,
if I may break in, nothing is deleted. It will all remain where it is.
oh, great.
Yep,
Okay,
no
then
worries.
that's great. And then the second thing would be, and of course, it needs to be, readily findable, right? So people could just
Mhm.
quickly, go to your website and then find it. Is it, and then some kind of note that says, as of X date per PA 26-72, responsibilities for this council were transferred to OHA-C or go to? Could that be
That's
done?
definitely a note that can be posted, yes.
That would be great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And so if the website is, or the webpage is going to remain, is it going to be updated to up to today's meeting?
Yes, it can be.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. And we did talk about so we John, Becky and I did talk about some, maybe slight changes or things that we want to do moving forward with the transition. And so we'll probably talk about that next meeting, some of our ideas, nothing major, but if anyone else has any suggestions for our meetings or just generally speaking, just let us know. And, I'm just thinking if we're transitioning, it's a really good time. If anyone wants a new kind of setup, meeting setup, anything like that, this is the time to do it. So anything that comes to mind, just let us know and we'll talk about it and we can, yeah, you can see what we can do. All right. Are there any other questions? Anything I missed, John or Becky? No? All right. Sheldon.
Yeah, the new bill requires that the companies advise people about their rights under the 2-year-old law in 3 different contexts. And I believe an earlier draft, but not the final bill, said it would be in cooperation with OHA. Am I right I know it used to say that, but am I right that it's not in the final bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
It does. So, but nevertheless, I want to suggest I'm volunteering Becky. Um, I wonder if that would be a reasonable suggestion. Um, to if the companies would be agreeable, and if Becky would be agreeable for OHA to have some role in putting those things together. That's the suggestion.
I'm available if you want me to take part in anything, Gary and Diane. Thanks, Sheldon, for nominating me for that. But I definitely, if there's anything assistance at all, I'm here. So I think you know that. So you can call on me anytime.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I can speak for New Motion. It's our intent to comply with the bill and to do so as the bill defines and make sure that the consumers feel like they have proper notification of their rights. And I'm happy to work with Becky or anybody from her office, however that's needed.
Right? And I think Becky, you and Ginny did a great job with notification for the DSS newsletter. So yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I had one other not idea, just following up on an earlier idea, which is I think it was David particularly suggested this, a Bill of Rights. This is not something that the industry produces, but a Bill of Rights that's broadly disseminated, which would include the PA 24-58. And so I don't know where that is, but I just thought that was a good idea. And I know several people, I think me included, said at the time when David raised it, good idea, and volunteered to help maybe on working on it. So I don't know what the timeline is for putting that together and if people agreed, but I thought the time it was raised, there was general agreement that was a good idea.
Yeah, that was on the report as a recommendation from the council. So yep. And I would have to go back to the other recommendations because we did have some non-legislative recommendations. So I would have to, I don't remember what the others were offhand. I have them written down, but not with arm's reach. So, but that's actually a good idea. And, maybe we're gonna be starting kind of getting a little reset next month, and maybe that's something that we should put on the agenda is to look at the non-legislative recommendations and what we want to do with them, if anything.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I forgot about the fact that it was a specific recommendation of the council. So yeah, it makes sense to look at all of them, the non-legislative ones we could do something about or potentially can do something about. And maybe that should be a clear agenda item.
And I know David and Becky were going to be working on this, and Becky, you've taken on a lot, and you've been asked to take a step back from some of this extra work. So yeah, so I think regrouping next month would be a really good idea. Okay, and am I missing anything else in the statute that we haven't talked about? I don't think so.
Okay, one thing is, sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
No, that
Um,
I was kind of
the-
asking you.
The statute also basically codifies the practice already, thanks to the companies of monthly reporting. But there has been a problem, and Gary confirmed it today, of the timeliness of the monthly reporting. So now that's official, that it's required, I wonder if we could come to an agreement about Gary said he would try to get it, I think, in his email Friday before the meetings.
I think that's what was agreed to in the last
It was?
email exchange that went around, was that we would provide it the Friday of the prior. And I apologize. The gentleman that runs the report for me has been off the last 10 days. So I didn't, and I didn't know about the meeting until this morning because I wasn't in the last meeting. So I apologize. But I will provide a written May report. I will give when you are ready for me, I will give a May report, and then I will make sure moving forward that we comply with that obligation. And we're going to change how we pull the report internally here, because it's just got to be automatic. And I can't wait for an individual to, fit it into their schedule. So
that would be for the Friday before the meetings. Did Diane agree to that?
Actually,
that's-
if I could chime in for a
Yes,
second, if I
please.
could ask a big request, and if this is not doable, just let me know, Gary. But we're going to try to see if we could do it on a Wednesday, the Wednesday before the meeting, so that way our Alexandra could get it out to everybody by Friday. Hopefully, that would be the intent, and then everyone has a chance to review. And so we're trying to regiment everything. So if Wednesday, but if it's a bad time, let me know. But that's our goal.
I'll make that work. I just, I apologize. These meetings have not ended up on my schedule automatically because they bounced around a little bit. And when I get the invite the morning of the meeting, I travel every week, all week, and it's very difficult. I apologize. And just I am representing New Motion for the current period. It is likely I may be retiring at the end of this year. So, or, it's being discussed, so we'll see. But there may be another individual. I mean, I even have, if I step down from my current role, I may stay on with New Motion in another role, so I could continue forward at that point. But sometime maybe towards November, December, we may be talking about another person representing New Motion.
Okay.
Thank you both for answering that question, though, but as long as we have it somehow regimented, I think be helpful.
Yeah, no, look, I apologize. It's, we have not been consistent, and that's a lot of my fault, but I've just got to give more attention to it. And I'm, we want to work with this group, and we want to be forthright with the information. So I apologize for any
Well, Gary,
discrepancies.
if it helps, it wasn't on my calendar either. And we were having a meeting discussing this meeting yesterday, and they said, I'll see you tomorrow. And I said, wait, there's a meeting tomorrow. So I didn't know either. So if I didn't have the meeting, I wouldn't have known. So our goal and our intent is to have everything streamlined. So we just know, like, okay, this, and it will be on your calendar. It'll be like a click and go kind of thing. And you'll just have it there all the time. So it's
Thank
in your
you.
calendar date. Sure.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thank you. I am just gonna basically kind of jump on what Gary was saying and what Becky was saying, in that I also missed last month's meeting because I made a super fun small hospital trip. So I also was unsure whether we had a meeting today. Glad I checked my email in time. Having a set date is really great. It's helpful. If we don't have the calendar invite, Zoom link, whatever, it's not as useful because memories are what they are, especially when you have 1,000 meetings a month. I see Gary nodding. Yes, yes. So, having it set, it sounds like someone a little bit more specifically dedicated to this, because I know Brienne has 10,000 jobs, will be helpful to get stuff sent out timely, get a dedicated calendar reminder, but also maybe if there's going to be a date change or if there's a shift in the schedule, maybe one of the co-chairs can send out an email like maybe the week before or a few days before, just letting folks know or reminding folks about the, the meeting date or the change of date, which obviously would not have been in this instance, but just broadly speaking, that would be helpful because
I
yeah, a
think
lot
we're
of people have a lot of
we'll
things
keep
going
it
on.
consistent with all the meeting notifications, all that communication coming from Alexandra. Unless
Yeah,
in
we
the
have a
event
dedicated person.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, as
that's
long as it's coming from someone. But if it's not coming from anyone, I do nominate at least the co-chairs. But hey, if we have someone to send it out, that would be great. Thank you.
Maureen, do you want me to go ahead and give my data and
unless we have any other questions. All right, I go for it. Go for it, Gary.
Yeah, I want to both kind of, unfortunately, I don't have the written report, and I will have that by Monday. But I want to recognize this month's data as well as answer some questions that I saw in the minutes about last month's data. I think the question that was in the data was, our staffing dropped, but our compliance with respect to the bill was still up in the high 90s. The reason that was because we didn't lose the staff till the end of the month, and the production through the month itself was pretty good. We have made some major changes in how we intake orders on the service side, and also how we're sourcing inventory. We have increased the number of items that we are stocking, and our number of repairs being done in one day or 2 days is spiking. And so that allowed us to have a higher level of compliance in April. Now, May is going to be very different when I give you the May data, and I'll explain why. We've lost two technicians. We have 6 full-time service technicians, and we have open requisitions for both. So our intent is to go back up staff-wise. We are backfilling with a technician from New York who comes in temporarily to help. Also, the thing that I haven't been recognizing in my staffing numbers, and I know Sheldon, tracks this, very, very closely, is our remote service team that handles every intake call, and that they do an assessment on the chair, as to the extent that they can. And so that eliminates a lot of visits from service techs, or even from visits from customers to our location. And that crosswalked with, the additional inventory, and then utilizing technicians from other areas, and utilizing even ATPs where we needed, or additional seating techs where needed to do repairs, gives us additional capacity. So that's how we were able to maintain that higher level. I would expect that when I get the full May report, because I've seen a spike in number of orders, and number of customers outstanding, and a day drop in our intake to completion, which is our internal measurement, or a day increase, excuse me, in our intake to completion, that I would see our compliance drop probably to the 91% range. So we are going to see a little bit off and until we can backfill those techs that we have outstanding right now. I'll stop there, and if there are any questions.
Yeah, so Gary, my question from that month's data was regarding the remote repairs. And so I think your number was 92% for the remote repairs. And so I just don't know how you're measuring that, because in my understanding, the way I understand a remote repair, it would just be 100%, correct? Or if it's not, because we're talking about compliance. So if it's not repaired, or I mean, if it's not resolved, then it goes into a regular repair, a non.
Correct.
So wouldn't that always just be 100, or why? How do we get to that 92?
No, I think we're capturing if they can't fix it. right? If they, you know, and
Okay.
also because we're now routing almost every call through remote. There was a
Yeah.
change back in I think it was early April or late March where we weren't routing all calls through remote, and now they're all going through remote.
I
So there's
appreciate
some
that.
that there are some that are going through remote that then have to go to a regular technician to be scheduled, and so that's probably where that drop comes.
Okay. All right. So isn't that then um like not double dipping, but you'd be reporting 92%, but then it's going to show elsewhere that it's not compliant. It's
Well,
just a
it's tough.
different place to
It's
show.
yeah, there may be a small amount of duplication in the numbers, and I've got to figure out how we can. You know, it's just tough with our system and the number of orders, and then there's still, you know, as much as we've automated it, it's still very manual from a review process of going back and looking at the numbers and having to go tie back every order. But yeah, we're gonna do our best to try and clean that up and eliminate any duplication. But we're pretty comfortable. You know, our data internally is showing that we are maintaining, you know, a significant, a consistent level, but you're going to see it drop in May just because of the lack of staff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And maybe when Diane, maybe next meeting or down the road, we just make sure that you and Diane are both reporting that have that same understanding. Um,
Yeah, we can do our best to be consistent in reporting the same way, but you know, remember we're different companies. Our
I
systems are
know.
different. Our processes are a
It's
little
just for
different.
everyone
Yeah.
else, from the outside looking in, we want to
Yeah.
make sure, especially, you know, again, like I would have expected 100%. And so someone who's thinking the way I'm thinking might look at and say, oh my gosh, what's
Yeah.
going on? So I just, you know, as much consistency as possible, but yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll go back with, you know,
Yeah.
what I will say for the June report, I can commit to you going back and, you know, trying to fine tune that a little better and make sure we're capturing everything
Yeah, I don't
appropriately.
want to make extra work. I just, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, whether it's extra work or not, I mean, you guys, like you said, you'll want to see it apples to apples, and we'll do our best to do it. It's
Yeah.
not going to be 100%. I can just promise you because of the differences in how they do things and we do things, and how they classify people
Yeah.
in roles.
Yes, that's true. Yep. Okay, David.
How you doing, Gary? I wanted to give you some feedback. I already talked to your new manager, nice guy,
Bill,
and
yeah.
yeah, Bill. I've kind of told him what I'm about to get into now, so he's aware, and he probably had a conversation with you already. But something I noticed. So when a repair is in the process, as an example, I had an issue with a brake broke. It's taken a couple days for New Motion to get that order out to Thailand. I don't know how long it typically takes, but it's taking multiple days. I don't know what you're doing to speed that process up. Is that something you're looking at?
Yeah, you know, it's automated. So as soon as the technician, some of it is between us getting a quote from the manufacturer, because in order to submit for payment, we have to put a quotation from the manufacturer in our bill. And so sometimes we have to get that quote directly back from the manufacturer. And I can go look at yours, David, but you know, brakes from Light, they have 18 different brake types, right? So it's not like we can just keep a file of, you know, prices from all the manufacturers because the price is different. And so sometimes we have to get that, and that takes 24 hours to 48 hours sometimes. And then we place the PO. The PO is automatically generated.
Okay.
And we're pre-ordering everything. It's just sometimes if it's not a, you know, a part that we're stocking, like we're now stocking 200 some parts. But unfortunately, we can't stock every brake from Light, and we don't have that capacity. But yes, we're working to streamline that, and part of it is Light getting back to us with quotes more quickly.
Also, I brought this up several meetings ago, and I just experienced this again. Um, Light is sitting on orders. It literally took, I think, 7 days after you sent them the order. It took them 7 days to get it on a truck.
Right.
And that's way too long. I mean, it shouldn't take 7 days to get an off the shelf break. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, and it's been expressed to me that that's a problem. And I know you've in the past said that you're trying to work with them. It just seems to still be a problem. And by the way, 7 days, that's just to get it on the truck. Never mind the week it takes to get to you. So what are you doing to communicate with them to make that process a little more fast?
But we are all over them about it. I mean, what we've seen with all of our manufacturers is the average time from time that we place the order with them to the time they ship it to us has increased 3 days in the last year. And so I know we're stocking a lot of parts, but on the ones that we don't stock, it's the wait time from them. And I know that's not part of the calculation in the compliance, but it's part of the process and it's part of the delay. And we're doing everything we can to beat up Permobil and Tylite and Sunrise and everybody to get better turnaround times. And we're asking them, we're trying to get them to do regional distribution centers for parts. And we're not getting a lot of, help from them with that because it's a cost to them. But
Yeah, Tylite has been consistently bad in my experience for turnaround to getting
right.
stuff on a truck. I mean, we're talking every time that I mean, it's 5 days, 7 days. It's a really long time. What's the reasoning behind it? Have they told you? Is it just they don't have the employees to get it on a truck? I mean, what's the holdup for simple parts?
I think it's just their process, their manufacturing process, and their order fulfillment process. And it's just no matter how much we've been griping, Tylite is now under Permobil, and Permobil has never been one to rush anything. So
Okay. All right. Thank
So
you.
David, you've been bringing this up since like February. So is this an ongoing issue with you, or this is a separate repair, or you're just hearing it from other people?
So what I just went through about my brakes, that's my personal brakes. I had a break, things break. Um, but I've had several repairs over the course of time, and I have a Tylite chair, so obviously you have to go through the manufacturer Tylite to get this stuff, and they're consistently terrible on getting stuff out the door. And I've brought this up several times. Gary knows, and it's not Gary, so I don't blame Gary. The manufacturers, they're running their shop the way they're running it, and my instinct is they don't have enough people pulling stuff off the shelf for a lot of it. And then you have stuff that maybe their supply chain is coming from outside the country. I don't know. But for stuff that's like a simple part that is on the shelf, I don't see a good reason why they can't get it off like within a day or two. 7 days is not acceptable, and it's consistently 5 and 7 days in my experience.
yeah, and look, David, one of the things we can do, since this is if we look at your records and we see we replace David's parts, twice, 3 times a year, maybe we just go ahead and stock those. That's something I might consider doing.
I mean, this isn't. I don't want to make this about me. I just use
Yeah,
my situation as an example because, as I always say, if it's happening to me, it's happening to someone else.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree, and it's been a problem. Sunrise has been a problem. Hit and miss. They moved their whole manufacturing to Mexico and then moved their corporate offices to Tennessee, and it just caused nightmares with us from supply chain standpoint.
And I have another issue that's I think needs to be looked at, and I've brought this up several times. Your call centers are terrible. Um, I got a call and from one of your call centers, and they were telling me, "Oh, we're calling to get your part order to confirm information." I was like, "What are you talking about? Part's already ordered. What are you talking about?" And she's like, "No, no, no, I'm calling to confirm information so that we can order the part." I'm like, "No, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. I want to talk to someone else." And I got off the phone with them, got on the phone with Bill. It was all cleared up. But I just feel there's an absolute disconnect between your call centers and the people on the front lines. They don't know what they're talking about. They're giving people misinformation, bad information, and getting people all riled up. Because I'll tell you right now, when I got the call, I was I stayed calm. Obviously, it's like I know they're wrong,
Yeah.
But for someone who maybe it doesn't have the conversation with someone else, they're just going to get upset. And then you're tying up the phones with conversations with multiple people. It's not productive. And so
Right.
I don't understand where the disconnect is happening. Why aren't people talking to each other? Why isn't this in the notes? And this has happened consistently. This happened to me multiple times where people are calling me up with not good information. So what
Yeah.
can we do to
Look,
fix that?
yeah, David, you and I have talked about this before, and I need to go back to our service leader and find out what we can do to change that. That's something that's out of my control, but I need to figure out how we can fix that. That they should not be calling you multiple times and exactly the notes should be in the system. They should have access to that information. So I got to find out what's going on there.
All right.
I do think I'm very happy to hear that you've gone back to going through the remote text because that's really good.
Well,
Daryl, you put your hand, do you have something to add to this or you had a separate question?
Sorry, yeah, no, I just wanted to reiterate, I do know like that's quite a long day for, 7 days being a holdup for not getting out of the vendor or sorry, the manufacturer. I had that happen in the past too as well, and I know one of the issues was that like all the parts had to be part of the PO, had to be put together and then sent out. There was one time I had to wait over a month, and this was a long time ago. Haven't had to deal with that in a while for just tubes to be packed in, and I'm like, hey, I didn't even need tubes. So I do think if that's a hurdle, or maybe there have multiple POs from different individuals that might be lagging the process shipping it out. I do think this is an individual basis. I'm not sure how it works there, but whatever way we could be tighten up on that with the manufacturers to make sure we could get those things.
we don't group parts orders
Okay,
for
all
multiple
right,
customers for that specific reason, because we
gotcha.
don't want one being held up by someone else's part. Now, if it's a full PO with multiple parts on it for the same customer and they're holding stuff up, a lot of times we will split it. And but it's we've got to know it's there, and we don't currently have a flag in our system for that, but we do review the orders, and if we find it, we'll try and split it if it looks like something's on back order for an extended period of time.
Gotcha. Okay. And I do like, Gary, how your comment was about, we always talked about those top 20 parts, making sure we try to stock those. Definitely, if you guys got a way, you could look at the statistics of the common repair orders and just part numbers and just try to, have some of that overhead in there. I think that's great. Obviously, drop shipping makes it way easier, to get to you guys and less
Yeah.
overhead for the company. But
Yeah,
just
yeah. Look,
looking at
we
the options.
we're utilizing AI right now to go back and look at historical ordering, and we're doing it geographically. So we're not sending the same parts to Rocky Hill that we'll send to Taunton or we'll send to New York. It's all geographically based. We can get the history from that location of what they're what chairs did they order the most of, and we can go back and say, well, we're going to need Permobil motors, or we're going to need quantum motors or whatever. So, we do that, to adjust.
Definitely. Yeah, no, totally. And it was nothing about new motion. It's just, however we could streamline, the process that way.
Sure.
Nice. Thanks, Gary.
I see some other hands, Joe or
Yeah, so
Sheldon.
Joe and Sheldon, do either of you did you want to add to what David's question or you have separate questions?
Separate questions.
I figured you how about you, Joe? Was it
Separate question.
okay? All right, Sheldon, go ahead.
Yep. Thanks, Gary. A couple of things. One is when you say that you lost two staff and I don't know what requisition means. Have you
It's mean we
posted?
have an open we have the job opening. We're
So
posted it.
it's
So,
posted.
yeah,
That's
we're
posted.
recruiting replacements.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is this remote statistic. I have to admit I'm completely confused now because I'm looking at your last report from April because in terms of the structure, it's the same. And it said that for assessments, 28% were done remotely. And then the rest were either in the branch or at home, 54% in the home, 18% in the branch. Okay. So then what you were talking about earlier, and Maureen was asking about, was the actual repair completion. And I'm maybe ignorant here, but it seems to me you can't do an actual repair remotely except in very few cases because that requires physically doing something. And unless you're walking the consumer through the process of fixing it themselves, you got to be there or they have to come into the shop, right?
Well, there are situations where, you know, a plug might come out, a wire might have loosened, and we can walk the customer through taking care of it themselves without us sending a technician out. And generally, you know, a lot of times we will still send the technician if it's something we realize that, well, they can plug it back in, but the wires, you know, it's loose or something. It's not going to stay. You know, at least we're getting them out of a hard down situation temporarily. So it all depends on the situation. You know, there's some where they, you know, they caught their joystick cord somewhere, they pulled out, and they just needed to plug it back in. And once we had the opportunity to visually look at it, we walked them through it. But look, I have to go back and you know, I need to get more stats on our remote because this is something we've just recently gone back to of having it go through all remotes. And you know, I don't know exactly personally how many of those turn into, and like Maureen was saying, I don't want us to be double dipping on things. You know, if something turns into a regular order, I don't want us to take the remote as fixing it and, you know, have a tech go out and do it. You know, I'll be honest with you, Sheldon, I need to get more information on that. I need to drill down on that because I don't have the detail that you're looking for right now.
Well, this is my other question, though. It's not really detail. It's just trying to understand the whole basics here, which is if you're saying they're all now you're going to 100% going through remote,
Mhm.
that means they're going remote to see if they can fix it remotely, like you said, to tell them about the wire,
Right.
and whatever. So they're all going there first, but then and by the way, your stats for April was that for the repair itself, 14% were remote. Right. I don't know if it is different now, but you know, April is 14%. So basically, am I correct that this is the structure? 100% of the calls go to remote. They see if they can walk the person through to fix it remotely.
Right.
They can sometimes, such as in the situations you described. And then if they can't, then it gets sent for regular
Well,
physical, you know,
two
coming out.
things can happen. Two things can happen. If they realize it's a part that's needed, they'll go ahead and order the part and they'll schedule the delivery. Okay. They'll schedule the fix. If it's a part we already have in stock, they'll go ahead and schedule it for the final fix. Then a technician will have to go out and do the fix. Okay. Or they will schedule, if they can't establish what's wrong, and they will schedule another technician to go out do the evaluation, physical evaluation. So there's some noise in here, and I've got to figure out from our data, you know, because I think to what Maureen said earlier, I think there's some double counting going on, and I just need to make sure it's not.
Yeah, that would be appreciated. Because I'm just looking at the other data which I referenced earlier, which is
Right.
the assessment. And I would have thought that the figuring out if you need to order a part would be there, would be in that data, you know,
Right,
the remote
right.
version of assessment.
Well, there it is in some. Some of it is there, you know, because they can do that. They can establish, you know, if somebody needs, I'll use David as the example. If David calls in, he shoots us a picture of his brake. We know the brake needs to be ordered. Either we order it, or if we happen to have it stocked, we'll set up the delivery. Either way, we're going to pre-order it, and then we can go ahead because we kind of know what our turnaround times are. We'll set the delivery up for a tech to go out so that it's gonna. And again, I've got to be careful because I want to make sure we're not double counting that tech completing it and giving remote the you know the check for completing it. You know, I want to make sure we're not doing that.
Sort of understand. Thank you.
Sorry, Sheldon, it's not a straight line. I mean, it's, you know, this process is not a straight line, and we do our best to capture the data and report it. You know, I think all along our data shows we have gotten better, we've improved. We're not perfect. We're not sitting here saying we're perfect, and you know, we try to be responsive and responsible. I mean, I finally have a new leader in Connecticut. I didn't have a leader over that service team for the better part of the last year. And so now, David spoke with Bill Latorno, who's our new director over service there. And I feel very comfortable that we're heading the right direction. And I know somebody's going to call me. I know somebody's going to have an issue, and I'll be happy to help anything out. But, we feel like we're getting better every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe, thanks for waiting so patiently. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Joe.
No problem. No problem. It was very useful information. So I just wanted to discuss kind of the pros and cons of a new situation that I've been working with over there. In So I had a wheel break off. So I've been running on like three wheels now. And they came out and they saw, yeah, the wheel is broken, and they ordered. I'm sorry about my dog. There's an Amazon guy here. So they ordered the new wheel. When I was on the phone with them and they ordered the new wheel, she said, we're going to pre-schedule you, um, which is something that I've never had before. And she says, well, we'll schedule you, and we'll order the part and we'll pre-schedule you. And granted, it was 4 weeks away or whatever. Um, but how first off, it's nice because you have a light at the end of the tunnel. You're not anxious about, all right, when is the part going to come in? Then I got to make sure I make this call in order to be able to schedule it, and you might miss the call, and so you get rid of that anxiety. But how is that for capturing data? You might end up getting the part in a week later and it's sitting there for 3 weeks before you get out to do it.
Now,
Or
if the
or
part comes in sooner, we move the order, we move the appointment up. We don't
okay.
just leave it. Yeah.
I just it struck me as odd because I've actually asked for this in the past.
Yeah.
I've asked them to schedule it because normally the part comes in and then you got to schedule it, and sometimes it takes a week or two to be able to get an appointment. And when I've asked for it, I've always been told, "Oh, we can't do that. We have to wait until the part comes in." So I was like, "This is nice to be able to finally be able to make that appointment, one shot deal, not have to worry about missing that call in order to confirm that you're still living at the same place and insurance and everything of that nature." I just wasn't sure how it was with being able to actually predict when the part is coming in and being in compliance and everything.
We have pretty good data on delivery times from manufacturers that within a certain sort of standard of deviation. And so that's what we start to base those pre-schedules on. And if it comes in sooner, we do our best to move the appointment up.
So
Uh,
Gary, when did you start doing that?
I think 3 months ago.
And it seems to be working.
It's working well. And obviously, like from David's, situation with the brakes that, if it takes longer than we thought, then, we have to get out ahead of it and reschedule. But, more times than not, the orders are being moved up.
Okay. All right. And Joe, just curious, your repair is still in process?
yeah, no, I've
Oh,
I've got an appointment on the 26th, so it's
okay.
been about a month and a half now. Well, it will be about a month and a half. Um, but yeah, like I said, it's nice having a light at the end of the tunnel, and not wondering how long it's going to take the manufacturer getting that heads up in advance that it's going to take a few weeks to be able to get the part in and get everything scheduled. Um, but I mean, it's still a long time, but it's not a part that is typically stocked either.
Yeah, and look, it helps us too with load balancing, with resource utilization of, if we need to bring a tech, if we have, a week that's, pretty heavy, we'll bring a tech from New York or somewhere else to cover some of those appointments. So
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, it was a service that I had asked for many times, and before I was always told that I wasn't allowed. And then when she then when she told me we were pre-scheduling, I didn't even ask for it or anything. I was like, whoa, when did this happen?
Yeah.
And this is kind of nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're doing that across the board now.
All right. Thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you.
All right, Farah.
Thank you. Gary, I was just wondering, and maybe you have an answer to this, and maybe this is more for tech folk, but you mentioned that y'all were utilizing AI to help kind of track what's being used where, whatnot for products. Neurodivergent nerd that I am, this is a bit of a hyperfixation lately. And I know that there is a pretty high error rate with a lot of like AI data analysis. And so I was just wondering what safeguards you have in place to make sure that, you're tracking correct data and making sure that folks are, you're stocking the products that people are using and not just
Oh,
what a
the
robot is
data
dreaming
pool we're
about.
using, yeah, the data pool we're using is our own. It's not one we're just going out to the internet and getting. So there's
Sure.
there's some control around that.
That's good.
And the way the AI agent works is it's just looking at that pool of data and giving us, frequency
Mm-hmm.
information. And look, none of it's going to be 100%, but it's better than zero, right? And
Absolutely.
so, to have our ability to understand that, we have 20% more quantum users in Taunton than we have in Rocky Hill is useful to us in managing parts and other resources. So, we're doing everything we can to take days out of the process
Yeah.
and to do things in a concurrent fashion instead of linear, right? And that's where some of the noise comes, because when you do things concurrently, you're counting things at the same time, and it's a little confusing at times.
For sure. I guess to boil that down a bit, you still have some human eyes on the process, right?
We do. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've not
Great.
taken the humans totally out of the process. We're looking at other ways we can use AI, but we're also very cautious
Good.
about, how it works.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because uh not super hard one way or the other. Well, I don't know, I'm pretty far one way, but I do think there's some ways that it can be used really, really well. It just you gotta be sure to have those caution guards up. So I'm really glad to hear that, and I hope that it can really help streamline things for you
Yeah.
guys. And thank
One
you
thing,
for answering my question.
yeah, no problem. One other way we're using AI, it's been really helpful is denial history with certain payers on certain
Mm.
items, so that we know when we get an order for a specific product or a specific part, we understand what payers are going to pay for that right off the bat, or who's going
Oh.
to challenge us. And so that's helped us a lot with, taking the risk on pre-ordering parts and things like that, because we know what our risk is up front. We know that, Medicare is going to pay for this 99% of the time. So,
Oh, that's really good to know. I'm happy that that's working out.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that information.
Thank you. Other questions?
Might
I'm not toast yet.
we might be at the end of the line here. Well, I did mention last meeting for the people who are here, but I did want to thank you for taking on that veteran VA case that Becky has sent to you.
Yeah.
We acknowledge that just because you're not getting you're taking on a cost and not getting a sale out of it or a potential sale. So we really do appreciate that.
No
And
problem.
also thank you for following up with I have a question about a facility, and so Gary's
Yeah.
following up on that. So
Yeah, we're
thank
going to be
you.
able to work that out, Maureen. So
Great.
we're
That's
good.
good news. Good news.
Could I just add to Gary, you were fantastic on that case.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you just cut out, Becky, but yeah, I'm glad to hear.
Yes, I was just saying that it was really, really fantastic how you jumped in with that. And that was my first time ever seeing a case like that. And it's just great that we have a teammate now, like I can call upon you, I can call about Diane, and you guys jump right in. And I can't even tell you the work has been able to be so much more productive. And in that case, the person was very, very appreciative too. So thank you very much.
Not a problem. Glad to help.
Okay. Do we have any other business, any other questions? Sheldon?
I know I talked way too much. Sorry about that. But I did want to just say thank you to Brianne for
Absolutely.
2 years, however long it's been, of staffing this council, and we're really grateful for all of your work, all this time, and getting things organized, and even tying up loose ends now during the handover to OHA. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Maureen, as far as OHA, we don't have anything to report. There
Oh,
haven't been
I'm
any
sorry,
cases.
and I know that,
It's
and so
okay.
that's why I skipped over it,
No,
but
no,
I'm
I know
sorry.
it concentrates
Yeah.
the time and all, but we haven't had any reports. We haven't had any cases reported in the last 2 months. So I'm hoping that's a good sign, that everything is working really, really well. And it sounds like things are on the up and up, especially with the parts and all. Maybe that's helping as well, Gary, that you're stocking and you're getting those there because, yeah, it's been really quiet. So, if there are cases to be referred, please refer them to OHA. If not, if everyone's, getting their service that they need and things are going well, that's great too. But we're here as a resource, so don't forget about us if you need us, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so our next meeting, it will be July 15th. That's a third Wednesday. Yep, and so I guess we're gonna well, Becky will be sending an email out to all the well, I guess just send it out to everyone, I guess, with Alexandra's contact information.
I'm actually going to send it just to um, the chairs right now, and
Oh,
to
okay.
Brienne. But eventually, I'll let her do that because I'm going to give her the whole listserv and I'm going to let her do the introductions and send it out. You'll get the minutes from her. You'll get everything from her. You'll get the updates for the meeting. So after this meeting today, I was waiting until after today and after our meeting yesterday. I just wanted to get an understanding of everything that we were going to do. And I wanted to chat with Gary and Diane to see if that Wednesday was a good opportunity for the data and all to come in. And so now that I have that information, I can relay that to her, and then she's going to take the ball and roll with it. So I'll be the one reporting out on cases, and she'll be the one handling this part of the committee
Okay.
or council. I keep saying calling it a committee. Council.
Yeah, so just again, with the emails, the appointment emails.
Oh yes. Oh, because you're going to send those. Oh, because that's
Right.
why you were saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. All right, I'll ask her to send out an introduction. Maybe she could send out an introduction and say, "Hi, I'm Alexandra," or something like that, and then she'll have all of your information, and that way you'll have it, and we can go from there. So.
Okay. All right, and I'll just send a reminder to everyone just to send the email to Alexandra and to and copy John and myself to with your appointment email so we can just keep track of that.
And during this transition time, if anything happens and you need to get in touch with somebody and you're not hearing back, you can definitely contact me. So I don't want to put myself out of the loop completely. If you need me, I'm here. So.
Right. All right. Well, this isn't the end of an era, but thank you again, Brianne, for all that you do, and everyone else. We're looking forward to this new chapter. So, um, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Sarah, thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Sheldon. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great holiday